In Manchester, I can remember back in the day when we all used to go down to Knott Mill at the bottom of the and there was
CMC Motorcycles in Manchester, 2019, 30th of March.
Motorcycle community here in Manchester, and I just think this is so positive. It might be a bit embarrassing for you, but I just want. Can we just have a round of applause for the fact that they've invested the money in this shop and opened it in Manchester? Because it's such an optimistic sign. You do worry at times. For motorcycling when you've been involved with it as long as I have, but this is fantastic. Look at the way it's been done. It's all absolutely mint. It looks great, modern, contemporary, full range of bikes, service department to the bike, fantastic clothing department, and it just makes, I think, all of us feel a little bit more optimistic about the future of biking, where they're talking about putting speed limiters on things and smart motorways and all these things. They're trying to take all the enjoyment out of life, and here's somewhere where it's celebrating what we all enjoy about motorcycling. So we've got some of Britain's top racers here, and Australia's top racers. Sorry about that. Forgot one of them was Australian. Quickly going back. So shall we get some of the guys up here? Is that what we're going to do?
So just get this microphone working. Right, I think first thing we'll have audio. Let's have first applause, Jake.
I think we're a bit too close to these speakers. have we got a sound man? Or else it's going to be it's going to be like a Who concert. Here we are. It might be. That's not too bad. No, we're alright now. As long as no one moves at all, we should be okay. So we've got three lads here, and we're going to get up on the stage. From British Superbike, from World Superbike, and from, well, I'm not sure. I know Hutchie's obviously a road racing legend, but we'll let him tell you what he's doing when he comes up on the stage. He and I did a tour a few years ago. We've just been reminiscing. We went all around the UK, went over to Ireland, up to Scotland, and talked about his career in a theatre tour. Me and Nick Jeffries and Steve Davison, the photographer. We had a fantastic time, and again that was great because we went out and people's enthusiasm and their passion, particularly for road racing. So, who are we going to get how many microphones? Are we going to have microphones for everyone?
Yeah, I think Jason's going to sort that out. So, I think first we'll have. Is it me?
It must be you. Mine's fine. Oh, well, thanks.
I think that one sounds a bit. That's better. It takes one of these microphones, I think, Jason. There you go. We brought spares. Let's have a look. Oh, actually, we'll leave that one. Yeah, so you need to be sitting there, I think so. Right, I think firstly, then we'll have from the McCann's Yamaha team, Jason Ò Halloran. Secondly, from the Pata Yamaha World Superbike team, Sam Lowe's. Alex Lowe's. That's the second time I've done that. The first time I did that was at Donington Park, where I had a long conversation with Sam. Yeah, and it was Alex. And then actually, so thirdly, I'm not getting this wrong at all, 16 times TT legend in Hutchinson.
We don't know this one. This is the loud one. Hello, gentlemen. How are we? In fact, Hutchie, how are you? Because you are hobbling a little bit, I noticed.
A bit late as I usually am, but yeah, just sprung on me this week that I had to get a medical to do the first round of French Superbikes next weekend. It's been a bit of a nightmare trying to get an entry for it, to be honest, and then I needed an extra medical on top of the ACU one, so the only option was to go this morning, so it's taken a bit longer to get here, but everything's going alright.
It's funny because that tour that I talked about, we talked quite a bit about your previous injury, the one famously that you sustained, one of the worst injuries in the history of motorcycle racing that somebody's successfully come back from. But since then, you smashed it up again, haven't you? Are we at a point there where you're just going to keep going? Whatever happens, they have to cut you in half to stop you from racing?
I could definitely do that happening again, but yeah, it's been a long job again. it's sort of been, everyone always asks me if this one was worse than the first one, and in their own ways they were both as bad really. The first one, the brakes weren't probably as bad and not as many, but it went on further because of infections and complications and stuff, whereas this time I've had more brakes, broken my femur as well as my bottom part. I had my ankle removed, had my ankle
removed?
Yeah.
So what have you got there now instead?
Nothing, it's just solid, it's just fixed.
Oh, right.
So yeah, it's just set at 90 degrees, it don't do anything.
Does that get you off from running in any sort of... How the hell do you keep fit if you haven't got an ankle?
Yeah, running's not on, but I won't going to run after last time. I'm an inch short as well, so I've got my shoe built up inside, which is a bit spazzy, I suppose, but... yeah.
I don't think you'd like to say that, but you know, let's just pretend that... Let's just not pretend he didn't say it, right? Okay. So when do things start for you in terms of actually getting on a racing motor? I was talking to your man here, Alex. No, don't say that, you confused me. And he said you were in Almeria when he was there, so what were you doing down there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I signed for Honda when I was smashed up in the winter of what we're on now, 1917, and end of 17, so I managed to sort of con him into doing a 2-year deal, knowing that I wasn't going to be very good last year, and that was the case really.
He's honest, isn't he?
My frame wasn't taken off until the end of April, which it probably would have been on longer than that, but I needed to get it off to get to the TT, so the plan for last year was just not to miss riding around the Ò Halloran really. It was very hard work and I couldn't ride very well, but I still managed to get through it. I did 39 laps and hopefully for this year it'll pay off. It's got to have been better than sitting on the sofa watching everyone else ride round. So, and then after that I just took time away from the bike again, didn't bother with the Ulster, and just bed myself back in slowly really. The end of August, September I started doing some track days on the Whittam schools. And then we did...
that must be terrifying for like ordinary people who turn up on a track day and they go, "Look, she's there." They're like, "What? You really go out on these track days? Are you out with like the regular billies that have just made to be there?"
I think they're faster than me at the moment. The biggest problem I have is I can't just get an off the peg black suit because of my foot and leg and all that, so I end up having to wear a full team suit, so I look like a right knobhead, but
I'm not even going to bother. Just let him say what he likes.
So yeah, it's just been building back from that really, and then we got a bit of testing in with Honda at the end of October, Dunlop testing Mirabelle, so for me really to come back and be competitive this year I needed to put the miles in, so I got the Super Stock bike off the team and loaded the van up and went down to Spain for a month in January, and I did about 12 track days, just riding round and round and round really, just sort of, there's no other way you're ever going to get your confidence back without riding a bike, and you have to sort of go through the process of not being fast enough and being nervous of losing the front, nervous at high side and all that. It's just sort of like a long process of getting that out of your system, so it's worked pretty well for me, and then since then Honda have put a lot of testing on as well. I've been to France twice. We did 2 days this week in Castle Coombe, which the weather was absolutely beautiful for, so that's gone good. And then I've got to do a couple of races because of this TT licence thing now. You have to do 6 races, so I hadn't done enough, so the options were to try and do British Superstock or all sorts.
Can I ask you, do you agree with that? Or do you think, I'm in Hutchinson, I should just be allowed to come and race in the TT? Or do you think that imposing that sort of restriction is a good idea?
I think nobody should really be let off for who they are, you know. I mean, it's been really hard work for me, especially last year, because the frame came off at the end of April. My leg was really, really delicate, but I'd been doing my training, I was fit enough to go to Ò Halloran, and obviously I've got a lot of experience there. And then the organisers made me go and do some club racing, which was an absolute nightmare for me, you know, to go and sort of put myself at risk at doing some club racing. But anyway, we had to go do it, and we did it, and the reason they brought it in was for racers that, you know, have normal jobs and normal lives all the year and go do the TT, and then they'd go back to the job and then literally not get the bike back out till the next TT, which I think's, you know, definitely not the safest way to go about it. So, but I think because the lap speeds have gone up so much now, you've got less and less of that happening anyway. They're short on the grids. I think there's only 60 bikes allowed in the race, and the pace that you have to do to be in 60th place don't really work for somebody that's not going to put the effort in anymore. But yeah, I mean, they're always working on safety, and I know they're up against it with insurance and stuff like that, so it is better to be able to put some mileage in.
Can I ask you two about something that Ian said there about this idea of being bike fit? Because there's a massive emphasis. I mean, I'm old enough to remember bike racers who trained in the pub. Do you know what I mean? Obviously those days are gone. But, I mean, the people that you ride with or yourselves, how much emphasis would you put on that? The difference between sort of working out in the gym or running or cycling or doing whatever you have to do and actually getting fit by doing laps on a motorcycle. That's you, Jason.
Yeah, I think it's hugely important, and more so in the last sort of 5 years, I guess it's become even more important. So this year I've changed my program a lot. I've done a lot more bike time than what I have done in the past, and it's already paying dividends, you know, just from our initial testing that we've had with the superbike. So I think more people are doing it now, which is, if you don't do it, you're going to get left behind. Not just for fitness, but just for your bike skills and stuff. The more you ride, the more comfortable you get doing it. Keeping your head up to speed is difficult as well. So yeah, I think it's hugely important. And I think anyone that's at the front of any championship now is doing a load of riding on their own, away from their teams.
There used to be a lot of, when I say there used to be, I'm thinking maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago, a lot of talk about off-road motorcycling, and a lot of the top guys used to seem to spend a lot of time at motocross schools or motocross tracks or dirt tracking and stuff like that. Has that kind of gone away a bit because of the, you know, you don't want to get injured doing that, do you? Which stops you from doing your job.
Yeah.
You're not going to get injured on a static bike in the gym, are you? That's what I'm saying.
No, but obviously you're not going to learn the same sort of skills in the gym. But I think a lot of guys are still doing a lot of off-road, even in MotoGP, Marquez, Argentina, they're all still riding motocross. I don't think the teams are too happy because obviously you can pick up an injury, but you can pick up an injury doing pretty much anything. So yeah, they're going back to riding more away from the track. The grids are so close now. I think yesterday the whole MotoGP grid from first to 22nd was less than a second. So if you go back 10, 15, 20 years, it wasn't really like that. So you're looking for half a tenth of a second. And all them little bits sort of make a difference. And obviously the machines and the bikes are getting a lot closer. I won't mention World Superbike where you have to be 15 seconds behind, still get on the podium. But in MotoGP in general, everything's a lot closer, so you're searching for them little bits away from the track as well as at the track.
So, Alex, how many rounds have you got this year? Is it 21 or?
MotoGP, I think
they're up to 21,
they're up to 21, yeah.
You've done 3 already then?
Yeah, 2 rounds already we've done in World Superbike. We have sort of, I think, probably the easiest schedule out of anyone because
motorcycle racing used to start at Easter, didn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Easter moves a bit as well, doesn't it? Because we used to race beginning of March and it was Easter, and now it's Easter in like April. So
you make an excellent point, Ian. Thank you for that.
I don't know what year it was, but there was a year, I think it was about 08, and it was the first round at Brands Hatch, and it was a lovely weekend. And then we woke up on race day on Sunday, and it was snowing outside. So I think that had partly to do with why we moved it on a little bit.
No, I haven't done it in your while. You'd have probably got out in the snow, wouldn't you?
I actually raced the car at Donington. I did this 2 litre series, and I was going down the back straight and it started to snow quite heavily, and I had to put the windscreen wipers on fast, and I thought, this isn't great. Well, what are the craziest conditions?
It's better snowing in a car than going down the straight on a bike and starting to snow.
Well, the thing was, it was a production car, so I went to turn the heater on, but there were controls, but there was no heater behind it. I was a bit disappointed. But I mean, a lot of the places that you guys are expected to race now, it's not a question of how cold it is, it's a question of how ridiculously hot it is, isn't it? And as you go to, well, you're used to it presumably being Australian.
Yeah, we get absolutely high temperatures at Donington in March, like last year. You know, it was snowing and raining and horrible.
No, I meant back home. Let's get the pronunciation of where you're from right once and for all.
Yeah, like
Wollongong?
Yeah, when I grew up racing as a kid, you know, it was a bit more like what Alex is doing now in the World Championship. We had really nice temperatures even through our Australian winter. It's like a UK summer sort of thing. So, you know, back in the day it was fantastic, but you know, now I'm a bit more used to the UK stuff and racing in the cold and damp.
So when does your season begin, and how do you see it going?
Yeah, so my season starts in 3 weeks' time at Silverstone. A little bit later this year than last year. Last year it started in March, and it was pretty horrible, to be honest, the first couple of races. So the organisers have pushed it back a little bit this year, which I think is good. We've got a test there next week, see how we go. We've done some Spanish testing recently, which went really well. So yeah, looking forward to the new season. It's a new challenge for me. I've been with Honda for 8 years, and I've moved to Yamaha. So it's exciting again, and see how we get on.
What about you? You're going really well this year, aren't you?
Yeah, this year's started off quite...
I don't want to jinx you, but you are.
I feel good. I felt good from the end of last year. The bikes got a lot better. Yamaha improving all the time in the World Superbikes, and I felt good in the winter test. Felt good the first 2 rounds, but when the championship comes back to Europe, normally everything settles down a little bit. So I'm really focused on Spain next week and trying to keep the runner form going. So obviously Ducati have come into World Superbike this year and seem to be a step in front of everybody, and that's not great for the racing, so we need to try and close that gap to the Ducati.
What about motorcycle racing in general, Hutchie? Because, obviously we've got 3 guys, 3 different areas of racing, British Superbike, World Superbike, and then what would you describe what you're doing at the moment? A combination of short circuit and real road racing, or?
Decathlon.
The decathlon. What we were saying back in the day, racers at your sort of calibre would be expected to do everything, but it's become more specialist, hasn't it? Have you ended up doing what you thought you would do, or did you see yourself on short circuits, or on a GP bike, or on a superbike on short circuits?
I never saw myself doing any of it really, because I didn't start off racing. I just passed my test at 17 on a road bike and used to go out riding road bikes everywhere, so I was really late getting into the racing. I was 21 before I started racing, and obviously that was on a circuit, it was club racing, and then I sort of accidentally ended up doing the roads, so it just was one of those things that I went to, enjoyed it, and I've carried on doing it really, but it is getting a lot more like a short circuit race on the roads now. There's no massive gaps like there used to be with when Joey was racing. He used to win some races by 2 minutes, and you sort of win a TT now by 2 seconds after an hour and 50 minutes of racing, so it's a lot more competitive throughout the sort of field than it used to be. And I think back then as well, everybody that did well there used to come from doing national racing on roads in Ireland, and I suppose everybody then thought you've got to be road racing every weekend to do the TT, and now I think if you only went and did the roads, you'd have no chance to try to win at the TT. You need to be sharper and riding at the level that everyone does in BSB.
What about you, Alex? There can't be too many racers your age that have packed so much into the career. Have you had a path? Have you had a destination in mind in terms of your career, or have you just taken the best ride that was available to you?
Yeah, I think if anyone's honest from from my background, you want to race in MotoGP, you always aim to be a MotoGP, and if you don't quite get there, you're racing the World Superbike. But for me, obviously I would dream to race in MotoGP, but everything has to fall into place from a young age, and in our sport now, it's about having the right bike at the right time to prove what you can do. And I got really lucky in the British Championship, got a ride for Honda, managed to win the championship, and at that time I was looking then to get an opportunity to race in the World Superbike. But it doesn't always fall like that, and my goals sort of have to sort of change as you go on, and I still...
Didn't you race for 4 teams in one season once?
Yeah, that was in 2011. That's because I used to crash too much, and they didn't really like that, so they had to keep changing teams. But that was good for me. I learned, that was one of the best years that year in 2011, so I learned so much about myself, so much about riding, and it sort of helped me as I've gone on. But yeah, my goal is to still be world champion, and that's what I sort of get up every day and try to achieve.
What about you, Jason? Just moving along the line, where would you like to? Is it the same thing? Would you like to be on a MotoGP bike, or do you think that it's better to keep? Are you a superbike rider? Is that what you do?
Yeah, I think. Like Alex said, as a kid growing up, you always look at the top of your sport, and if you didn't want to get to that point, you probably wouldn't do it.
Because you're from the same time as Wayne Gardner.
Yeah.
So presumably he was You know,
Where's Arthur from the same
Yeah,
town?
he's from the same town.
Oh, and Troy Corser's from the same time as you, isn't it?
It's you know, it's everyone's career takes different paths, and you know, I don't want to sound complacent or anything like that, but I'm really happy doing what I'm doing, and you know, it took so many years for me to get to superbike racing in BSB that you know, my goal is just to be British champion, and if I can be British superbike champion, that will be a massive tick for me, and what comes
But
after
do you
that.
see that as a stepping stone to something else?
And not really, you know, like I think I'm 30 years old now. I don't know if I manage to win a British Championship this year. You know, I'd love to go and do World Superbike, but again, you have to.
I'm 40 this year, so I'm not going to go home.
You've got to look for the right opportunities at the right time, and you know, I think as you get older, I'm just happy to be racing motorbikes, and you know, if I can do it at a competitive level for another 4 or 5 years, then you know, I'll be stoked with that. So.
Ochi, can I ask you about the future of the TT? Can we talk about that? Because Michael Dunlop seems to be whose star rose so brightly, maybe not shining quite as brightly as it was. John McGuinness, he's there this year, but for how much longer? Yourself, Peter Hickman obviously has come through, but does there seem to be enough? Does the crop of new riders and new TT hopefuls seem to be enough to keep the TT going at the level that we've seen it? It seemed to dip a bit in the 90s and then in the early 2000s, and then come back again really with resurgence. But are you confident for the future of the TT?
I think you're always going to have stronger eras and stuff like that going on, and you know, the last probably from sort of 09, 08, 09, it's been really, really strong, and the top 10 have been really close. And then the last 2 years have been really hard for road racing, and there's been a lot of deaths, and you know, riders retiring and riders getting old and injuries and all sorts, so it's taken its toll on the top 10 at the TT, but then you have got the next gen coming through, I suppose.
It doesn't seem to diminish its appeal as like a festival of motorcycling. There seems to be as much interest in it, and many people wanted to go. I just tried to get my bike on the boat for this year, pulling a few strings, virtually impossible. So it's certainly not diminishing in terms of people that want to go, but as a spectacle, do you think it's quite what it was maybe 5-7 years ago, when to me it just seemed there were so many great riders, Michael, William Dunlop, you know, yourself, John, any number of riders that could win. You know, today you think, well, Peter Hickman's probably going to win, or you're going to win. You know, there's 2 or 3 people. I'm thinking just a few years ago there were probably 8 or 9 people that could potentially win it. That seems to be what's changed.
I'd have said the opposite actually, because going into this year you've got 4 or 5 people that can statistically do what they've done in the past. They could go and win, and you know, every year I've been going to press launches over there, and they always say there's 8 or 9 riders that can win. There never is, and you know, there's been a battle between myself and Michael for probably 5 years now. We've been the only ones coming away with a win, so it's been between 2 of us, and it is genuinely going to be between 4 or 5 riders now. So I think it's tighter at the front, and the sort of thing with mentioning names, nobody was a name at some point, so you know, the next lad's going to come along and win a race, and then he'll be the one that everyone wants to watch. So you know, it sort of makes its own heroes as a TT, and you go from being nobody to being a hero, and then straight back down as quick as that as well. You know, and I think I've noticed it more than probably most will, from winning 5 in a week at 2010, and then going there to watch with a frame on my leg and on crutches in 2011, you know, and everybody wanted to know me at the end of 2010 and nobody wanted to know me in 2011, so that happens where everybody's written Michael off at the moment because Peter Hickman did the lap he did, but you know, it'll just turn around.
Tell me, Jim, am I wrong that I'm saying that Michael's star seems to have faded a bit, and it's an awkward question. Well, there are so many awkward questions around the TT, and I'm not going to duck it. Is it because of what happened with William? Do you think that's had any influence on Michael perhaps not being quite I'm not writing him off by any stretch, please don't anybody think I'm saying that, but quite not the unbeatable force that he seemed to be becoming?
Well, obviously last year's TT was before William was killed, so Michael hasn't raced a bike since then, so who knows what he's going to come back like. But for somebody that could race 2 days after his dad was killed on the track and win the race, I can't see it really having much effect on his riding, and you know, it's such an up and down sport, and people are on a high 1 minute, and the next minute you're in a tyre wall, and all your confidence is gone, and you're not achieving anything again, and it takes time to bring round. And you know, there's a lot of new bikes out this year. I think there's going to be a big switch round with stuff that's going to work, stuff that's not going to work, and you can never really tell until you get there. But at the end of the day, somebody will be doing something close to that record every year. So if you want to win, you still have to do the pace. It doesn't matter how many people are going to do it. You're going to have to go fast to win that.
Right. Well, have we got a roving microphone? We have. Yes. Well, I wonder if there's people out there that would like to ask the guy some questions. If you want to ask the guy a question, put your hand up and we'll get this microphone across.
I think we've got a question for the guys here. We've got obviously Alex, Hutchie and Jason. But actually, before it was, I've kind of got one for Alex really. The new format of the World Supers with one race and on Saturday, half a race on or 12 lap sprint. And then obviously one on Sunday. And they changed it over the last few years. How are you finding that with the traditional two races Sunday?
Yeah, I like having 2 races again on Sunday, even though one of them's a bit shorter. I think having a shorter race on the weekend mixes it up as well. It allows you to probably take a different strategy and allows more people to be in the race. So I think as the season goes on, it's going to be quite exciting. And the racing in the shorter race is naturally closer anyway, so it should be good for the riders as well.
Right there. Hands up, everybody. Who's got a question for either of the guys? Come on, I must have something.
I must have done a good job.
Just one for Jason then, really. Testing really well. You're the fastest guy at the moment, I believe, on the bike for BSB. Obviously, the change has come from riding a Honda to a Yamaha. What differences have you found by riding the Yamaha, which has brought you right up there to the BSB?
Well, the chalk and cheese, you know, the 2 bikes are so different. From the first day I rode the Yamaha, I clicked with it. I had a test in December with the Superbike guys, and then done a lot of my own riding in January and February, and then just the recent testing. But I could just ride the bike more naturally. You know, I was always fighting the Honda, and it was quite the way that it was set up for BSB to try and get the most power out of it was quite an aggressive bike. So arms were up all the time, and it took a lot of energy out of you to ride it. So the Yamaha suited me well. I don't know what it's going to be like when we're going to race it. You know, I haven't raced it yet, but you know, it's been the best sort of pre-season I've had in my BSB career. I feel good, and my confidence is growing all the time, which is a nice thing. So yeah, hopefully we can continue that on into the racing.
A teammate with Terry McKenzie, Niles. How's that getting on?
Yeah, really good. Me and Taz are very similar. Really good for the bike settings and stuff. We're pretty much riding identical bikes, which is cool. I get on with him really well. Nice kid, and obviously a huge talent. So you know, I'm going to have a job on to beat him this year.
Hutchie, we have quite an association with Hutchie. We're in our 9th year of sponsorship with Ian. My brother Mark, actually, he's just left actually. I think Hutchie met him in late 2009 or something like that, and a possible time between CMC and Hutchie. And unfortunately, that year we said no, when he went 105 in 2010. But pretty much ever since then, we've been a faithful sponsor of Hutchie, which we're really proud of, and especially you know, the amount of TT wins that he's had, and that's coming back in 2015. That was incredible. So this year, Ian, obviously building up towards Isle of Man in June. What will be your preparation? How many races will you be doing on the circuits, and also what preparation will you be doing on the road circuits to be ready for the Isle of Man?
My preferred option was to try and do something in the British Championship, but the Honda team that run the roads is a European team, so it's a totally different team. Even though it's run out of the same building, it's different budget, different staff, everything. So it wasn't really working out to do the British Championship, and there's only 2 rounds before the TT anyway. So we've decided to do the first round of French Superbike because we can run the Dunlop tyres. And initially we thought we could run the same Superbike, but we actually can't. We can only run the Superstock bike, but it's going to be better to be on more of the setup that we're going to run on the roads. And then we're going to do the second round of British Superbike in the Supersport class at Oulton Park, where we will have to run Pirellis, but I think it's a bit less of an effect on the bike on the 600. So there'll be 2 races that we'll get in for a bit more competitive riding than just testing. And then the usual test program that Honda put on. So we've been lucky with the weather this year. I think last year I went to all the testing that Lee Johnston went to, and it rained everywhere for him. He got no track time at all. So I think Honda have like doubled the amount of testing this year, thinking a lot of it a bit rained off, and it hasn't been. So I'm surprised they haven't started pulling some of the tests that we're going to. But yeah, it's been going really well, and they've done a really nice job with the bikes this year. I think I sort of dragged it along for so long last year, not knowing whether I was going to ride or not, and then I did end up riding with like 3 weeks notice, so they've had a lot more time to be able to prepare the bikes. They're running all 3 bikes out of the factory this year with the 600 as well, so it's all looking as good as it can be for me.
From a road circuit point of view, will your first races be on the Northwest 200 or will you be out before then?
Yeah, the Northwest TT and the Ulster, the only roads I'm doing this year, so unfortunately after the TT I don't have much racing to do, but I'm sure I'll be able to twist around somewhere and get some more racing in somewhere. But the main focus for this year is to be back at the front of the TT, and even the Northwest is just a bit of a run out for the TT really.
I do have one more question for actually Alex. Whenever we've had Alex and Sam or individually at our events, they're always checking up to see how the other one's doing if they're not together. So just let us know how Sam's getting on in Argentina.
Yeah, he's going pretty good. You know how tight it is in Moto2, probably the tightest class in all the racing. So he was second yesterday, and I think he was 8th or 7th this morning in the FP3 that is for them. So qualifying late is quite important, and hopefully have a good race tomorrow. But yeah, he's really happy and he's feeling quite confident for the race. So hopefully get a podium.
We took the riders to be here today. It was between 12 and 3, and generally they're good in the past and stayed a little bit later, but Alex did say he wants to go and watch Sam. So what time is roughly Sam on today?
I don't know what time the qualifying is on actually.
I don't think it's on till 7 tonight, is it?
10 o'clock tonight, I think.
Don't worry about getting off early.
Yeah, I'm not going out tonight like which he was last night, so I won't go out tonight.
Actually, just got that. That's a good point. The preparation then that you guys. I think it's mine. It's just Derbyshire accent I've got. Yeah, so preparation-wise for you guys now, obviously Alex, you're riding. Jason, you're 3 weeks away, and LG, you're obviously a few weeks away from it. Obviously, a circuit ride. But what type of training are you guys doing now?
Apologies for the audio. Slight technical difficulty with the speakers.
I reckon it must be me, James. I reckon it's whenever I got these microphones, they're all right. These guys have been fine.
Don't say all this on X Factor, do you?
They cut all that bit out, which we're not going to see any of that. Yeah, so preparation-wise, what the training regimes that you guys are in at this moment in time? Jason, obviously, I said a few weeks away, as he's talking about Alex and always, so it'd be interesting to know what Alex does in season.
Yes, in the season I tried to ride, not like riding dirt bikes, I tried to ride a bit of flat track. My friend's house, we have a bit of flat track that gets quite competitive. And then it's just a lot of running, cycling, trying to keep my weight down.